Yes. And you are all set. Have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the February 23rd, 2023 Situate Planning Board. We're meeting tonight in Scituate Select Board Hearing Room in Town Hall. We're also available by Zoom and we'll be on the TV tomorrow. The Scituate Planning Board is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is a disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our community members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. And this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on Facebook. I will make a note that neither Mr. Borstein nor Mr. McLean will be joining us, and Ms. Lewis is coming after work. We have a posted agenda, there are second. All in favor? Aye. 6:30, continued public hearing, stormwater permit for Laurelwood Drive was 3, number 5, Ward number 7, 5, number 9.
Hi, just by way of introduction, Bill Arnberger, here we have the owner applicants who can't be here, and with Dave Weaver, Grady Consulting, and I think, Gabe, you can bring us up to date as to.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone.
Can you just make sure you please speak into the
Just speak
microphone
into the
so
microphone.
that it's, we can pull that closer to you. I mean,
It should be fine.
It won't
be
You
fine.
can move to the left, and we're gonna do that. Right? No, I'm just.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's fine.
Good.
Just leave it right there.
That's what I'm here.
You're fine.
Education is in this room, while we took this on.
So, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabriel Padilla from Grady Consulting. From the last hearing we had, we've been back and forth with Mr. Peter Ellison from TEC. About two days ago, we had a constructive meeting between Ms. Joseph and Mr. Ellison, where we went over all the pending comments that we have. Today, I sent an email with 2 responses out of the 3. Tomorrow, we will be receiving hard copies and the 3rd one. From the last hearing that we had, we added some more BMPs to the system. One of the things, we have now a infiltration basin where we're going to have some infiltration there that complies with recharge and the water quality volume requirements, as well as a wet swale that will pick up the small amount of pavement that the sand filters do not pick up. The sand filters weren't changed, they're still impermeable, so they won't seep out any water without treatment. And those are pretty much the changes that we had, and we're just finishing up comments to get back to you. Final comments, hopefully.
Joseph?
I would let our consulting engineer, Mr. Ellison is here on Zoom.
Good evening, members of the board. Peter Ellison with TEC, the civil engineering peer reviewer for the project. So TEC just completed our 3rd review. Just I guess a procedural question. Are we speaking about all 3 lots right now, or do you want me to are we just starting with lot 3, or how are we gonna handle this?
How do you want to handle, what are you all 3 or what are you
Sure.
talking?
All of them, yep.
Okay.
Mr. Ellison, then why don't you all of them all at once, thank you.
Okay, that works. Because I think that actually does work, because a lot of the comments across all 3 lots are actually fairly similar in nature. So TEC just completed our 3rd peer review of the site plan and stormwater report. We're really looking at the state standards and the town of Scituate local stormwater regulations for conformance with those regulations. We have amassed about 39 comments to date. Since the last time we met with the board, the scope of the improvements that are being proposed on all 3 lots has generally have increased in size to try and meet the requirements of the bylaw, of the regulations. in my opinion, they've gotten progressively closer to being fully in conformance with the regulations. And I agree with Gabriel's summary that we did have a constructive meeting earlier this week. We went through all of the outstanding comments in my letters one by one to make sure we were on the same page. And I generally would say I think they're on the right track to have them addressed going forward. That's kind of a high level summary. If the board wants me to get into the nitty gritty detail of each lot and the technical side of it, I'm happy to do so. But I'll send it back to the board and see if you have any questions.
So as Gabe said today, late this afternoon, we did receive lots 3 and lot 4. He said, I'll send lot 5 tomorrow. We've already done 3 reviews. That was what we contracted for. So in order to do another round of reviews, there needs to be more peer review money submitted. We will not begin those reviews until we have additional money.
Okay.
We're aware of that, we will come in shortly.
Okay, so, so then based on that, you know, our engineer needs a couple of weeks. We were thinking of extending this out to April 13th at 6:30. Is that an acceptable time to you?
No, I'm gonna be away, why not March 16th, Karen, you meet on the 16th?
No, we're not meeting on March 16th.
When in March, late March?
We're meeting on March 23rd, and we have 61 New Driftway that night, and we have 2 not so simple accessory dwellings that night.
That would be 9:00 for us on the 23rd.
Well, I'm gonna be away, it's gonna be another month, Patty, is, my understanding is, this is in all practicalities done. And, I understand that you need to review money, confirm it, so I'm not asking if you should miss anything, but, as I said, as of tomorrow, we'll have it. And I think you can ask for further clarification here is, Gabe has put together everything they discussed, so so, very reticent, the only reason I say this is we have 3 people ready to pull building permits on this and move forward, and, that's the reason for it. If it's later, that's that, but I think it's gonna be a very straightforward meeting. I think it's gonna be perfunctory.
Well, it's up to the board what you want to do.
Karen and I discussed this, and I had agreed to the April 13th date based on how long it's taken us to get the information. And just go to the back. We have other things that are lined up. We understand we've been in the pipe for a while, but we waited a long time for the stuff to get to us as it is, and so April 13th it is for me, and my board members agree, that's fine.
But wait a minute, if they can't be here,
If they can't
when
be
do,
When can it be here? After April 13th.
we're meeting April 27th.
Oh, you put 13th, I'll have someone here, I can't help you further than that.
What's the, I'm sorry, I don't know the schedule on the 23rd. So you said we have
We
3
have,
things lined up?
we have 61 New Driftway, so, we wanted to allow
Yeah,
a
that's okay.
sufficient amount of time. We have 2, in my opinion, not so simple accessory dwellings. They've already been advertised and they're in the pipeline.
So what does that push us out to? How far out is that timeline?
I mean, so,
Is that like 9 o'clock or?
yeah, probably 9 o'clock.
I mean, if you wanna do 9:30, I can do that. But, I mean, it would be okay with me as long as everything's done, If everything's not done, of course, we're not gonna do it, but. I guess that's up to the rest of you as well.
9 o'clock?
Well, why don't we say 8:45?
Fine.
And then if we can get it done,
You guys might end up being 9:30.
it might be later. I mean, it's just,
We'll bring our jammies, we'll be fine.
I did want to bring to the board's attention that the water line is being installed right now in Laurelwood Drive. It's coming from Norwell, and I have asked town council's opinion if that's a modification. Town council has not gotten back to me yet. I discussed it with him yesterday, I believe, so. I believe it's a modification because the water line is not on the original plans. These lots were not on the original plans, so,
Actually, the lot is on the original plans, 25. And you're aware of the stormwater regs and installation utilities and exempt activity?
I know it's not part of the storm, and I know it doesn't affect the stormwater permit, but I'm saying that it might be a modification to the subdivision plans to add the water line in the road.
Yeah, what's that got to do with stormwater plans?
I'm just informing the board of something that's going on out there right now in the roadway.
Well, I know, you've been out there, our contractors commented to us, you're taking photographs.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it, roughly speaking, York.
no, I was not out there with Steve Yorkland. Let's get that straight right now. I had residents call me, and that's how I found out about it. I was never out there with Mr. Yorkland.
Yeah, well, that's what, and I think that's what he told us that he came here to get you the national, you get it findings.
We're not gonna wait until he said, she said, so we are, can we agree on the 23rd, not before?
Yes, that's
This
right.
is a public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there anybody in the public who would like to speak, either in room or on Zoom? Could you come up and tell us your name, please?
Sure.
He can just stand up and speak.
Okay.
It's fine, he doesn't
Okay,
have to come
so,
up.
okay.
But just identify yourself with your name now.
Mark Buckley, Vernon Road, a butter. And I had sent in some questions that I realized afterwards that I didn't follow protocol. So I'm gonna fill out the question form. I'll try to do it tomorrow even, to make sure it gets into folks. But you might be able to answer a couple of them.
Everything comes to me, Mr. Buckley, you
Oh.
don't mind everything, and we address them.
Okay. I'm curious on the stormwater report, there's different grades of soil. HSG, C and D particularly come to mind, D being wetland and C being what most forests ground would be. And on both lot 3 and 5, at the eastern side of them, there is wetland. But when I look at the calculations that are done in the storm report, all of the land is categorized as C. My question is, one, should it be, and two, what impact does it have on the calculations?
In this case, the wetland areas are not being affected at all in this project. So the soil around those wetlands are pretty much sea soils. And we did test pits around the lot that shows that material is consistent with sea soils.
Sure. You're also putting in lawn that will have greater runoff than the.
The surface does not affect the underlying soil. The surface affects the runoff.
Yes.
So,
Okay, so you're gonna have more runoff.
oh, yes, and that's why we have to apply all these controls. Meaning that the sand filter, infiltration basin are not only to comply with water quality, treatment and recharge, but also hold back that runoff, that additional runoff. So as part of the standards, we have to make sure that no additional runoff will go beyond the design. In this case, every lot has a design point pretty much at the roadway, that's where all the water goes to. And the way we analyze it, we analyze the pre-development condition and the post-development condition. And then we apply different types of mitigation systems for those.
This should be mitigated, and I guess I've asked our consultant there too, this should be, assuming demonstrates that, there's no increase in volume or velocity over the pre-development condition.
That was actually one of the comments, I'm sorry to interrupt. That was actually one of the comments that we received in this round and prior about the volume. We did control that in this new response by increasing the size of the infiltration basins and adjusting the grading so we have more water going into different parts of the lot. But the calculations
Peter,
would show.
you've reviewed that and you're in agreement with that?
That is actually one of the comments that is still open at this time. It's not resolved yet.
Oh, got it, so it's in this next round.
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think it's worth asking the abutter, is his concern at the Laurelwood roadway, or is it off the back of these lots?
I have, at the back, at the low end of these properties.
Okay, so toward the rear of the properties, I do agree with Gabriel. The calculations show they're reducing the total square footages that flow toward the back of the lot. And the way that they're able to do that is they're pitching the driveway and the rooftop runoff from the house out towards Laurelwood Drive, away from the back section, which I think is where you're most concerned about. So the calculations as they are prepared right now show a reduction in peak rate and a reduction in volume, total volume of runoff toward the back property lines.
Thank you.
Thank you. So these mitigations are important, right?
Yes.
And maintenance of the mitigation and
It's part of the permit.
part of the permit.
Yes.
What assures ensures that these are done every year, as it says in the plan? Honor system?
Now, is there a system in place
I think there's a requirement usually in our
in the decision?
decision that it has to be reported on annually,
And
if I remember right.
That's
okay,
Part of the decision.
And that's the issue.
and actually submit it to the town.
and what are the recourses when it or I should say, if this if they're not done, and the new owners, the third owner down says, oh, no, I didn't read that fine print, I'm not doing that.
That's where enforcement comes into play. That's where enforcement comes into play,
All right, I guess.
okay? And I mean, we have a situation where somebody went forward in another instance and did something that they shouldn't have done, and they had received a letter. And if they don't rectify the situation, and has to do with the stormwater permit, they will be fined. And so it's just, we have rules, housekeeping.
Okay, great, I didn't know all that.
Yep, so
I appreciate
hopefully
that.
they will do, and we can rest assured that the neighbors
Well,
will
it's
drop the dime.
And you need to be aware, Mr. Buckley, that these decisions are very often 20, 30 pages long, so not a whole lot escapes
Oh, no,
Ms. Justice's attention.
and I'm an engineer by trade, but a mechanic, so I can read something, but I need more definition on a lot of it, or I still get my computer reading, but. I think one last, just maybe it's a comment, lot 5 is partly wetland, and it's also within the setback for septic setback, and I can see that the septic is not within the setback, I understand that, but seriously, that stream, I described this last time, that stream that comes from this setback goes down to the first Herring Brook, and you know where it goes from there. So, do we really need to have a house squeezed in just to, someone makes a few extra bucks? That's a comment, not a question. The last question is, I thought we had asked last time to have one plan with all of them so we can see where the divides are with respect to each other. I mean, I can take my scissors out of it,
we did ask for that, Mr. Moderator has not been presented to us as a
Well,
request.
oh, hold on, pardon, Jim.
Sure.
That wasn't a request.
Yes, it was, I requested it. I did, I asked, can we have an overview of all of this? And who are the butters of Vernon Road? Did I not ask
I
that?
asked that, I sent it I sent the meeting minutes the other day when Gabe asked about it. I sent Gabe the December 15th meeting minutes, and it's in the December 15th meeting minutes as well.
I mean, it's
Fair,
just,
I can read the minutes, Sarah, what you said, but when one person asked on the board at the last meeting, majority of the board wants to see it. First of all, it's not within the scope of the stormwater bylaw. Anyhow, but the whole point if we're not asking questions, just having commentary about the greed of people and all this stuff, it's inappropriate anyhow. Whether
I apologize for the comment, it was reaction, but you live in Scituate, right? At least you used to. And our water is horrible. And we don't need to just add to it, potentially add to it even. Fertilizers. More and more is being learned about fertilizers and its impact on all sorts of things. Animals, vegetation, and if it gets into our water. And this is a direct stream that goes through
well,
to it, so.
well, the only thing, anecdotal observations, the reason why we're paying Mr. Ellison $24,000 is because he's an expert on this, as is Mr. Padilla. I can make all kinds of anecdotal commentary. I agree, I care about water, but to sit here and say our project just
I
on
can say
general
that.
observation
you know what,
is
we're getting
somehow.
A little off,
and people are getting upset, and it's not gonna get us anywhere. I have, a motion here.
Wait a minute,
Excuse
you
me.
might have public comment online. If there's anyone online that would like to make comment, if you could please raise your hand, now would be the time to do so if you'd like to make comment. This is public comment period. You can hit *9 if you're on your phone. Okay, no comment.
All right, are you all set, sir?
I am, I just want to make the point that I've asked a number of questions, I got some great answers. I'm checking those boxes.
Okay.
I just like to have the boxes checked. If it's anecdotal, so be it, and I leave it to the town to look into what was discussed.
Thank you for your concern.
Okay.
I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing, the stormwater permit, for Laurelwood Drive, Lot 3, number 5, Laurelwood Drive, Lot 4, number 7, and Laurelwood Drive, Lot 5, number 9, until March 23rd, 2023, at 8:45 p.m., and to continue time for action for filing with the town clerk until May 12th. Is that okay, Karen?
Say April 14th.
No. You have until May 12th. You want to push it up back?
We're continuing the public hearing to March 23rd at
That's right.
8:45. Continue to time for action until April 14th.
All right. April 14th, 2023.
0 seconds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ellison, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Joe, thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, see you soon. At 7:45, okay, so we have a vote, it's an extension time for endorsement, recording in place for 17 Bridgeway.
Can we hold on that one for, I mean, I was told, yeah, well, I mean, I was told the applicant is coming, but, you know, we're gonna be way done ahead of time, so we might as well just go, we might as well keep going, and if they show up, they show up.
Okay,
What has happened with this project is that, they were supposed to go to the zoning board last week, that that didn't happen because the application wasn't, to the zoning board wasn't correct. In terms of the planning board, they are supposed to have endorsement 90 days after the end of the appeal period, which is March 8th, okay? They are not going to meet that deadline. We have had one round of peer review comments on the endorsement plans, and that has been given to them. So I'm recommending, April 28th is what you extend it out to. You know, I don't know, I sent this to them, I don't know if they are okay with April 28th, but at some point, somebody's gotta fish or cut bait.
Yep.
And, you know, just because they're not done with ZBA shouldn't affect the planning board. So I'm recommending to extend the time for recording and endorsement to April 28th. I also received a letter today, which you all have in your packets, that they want to, they don't really want to comply with all the conditions prior to, endorsement or, maybe a building permit. Some of them were building permit, but they would agree to as part of the as-built. And I say the conditions were the conditions, they have the conditions, and why should the board waive?
You know, and I agree, when there is a process and it's well set out, we've been doing this for like over a year. And I'm not gonna give input, like me personally, I'm not, in any hurry to give anybody a different way of doing business. As we hear all the time, some people are treated better than others, and this would be a perfect example to show that we do, so we know. How's that?
Works for me.
Yeah, there's no compelling reason to
No, there's no compelling reason,
waive
it's
these
just not there.
requirements, I just say do the requirements.
I mean, they're mostly, there's cameraing of your sewer pipes. All this stuff has to be done, prior to construction. Or at the beginning stages of construction. And you don't address it in the end, you have to do it. So we know that everything is sized right to begin with.
Well, it seems like 26 is here.
Mhm.
You can't design and install a system without having done this,
Right,
right? So
right.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it just seems like these are the conditions, then conform with the conditions. Find a way to.
No.
We as I often say, we have a process and we follow that process. If they can't keep up with the process, kind of us, but this is like kind of housekeeping regular stuff. It has to be done in order to go forward, so.
Are you ready?
That's up to Karen.
Yeah, I think we're ready.
I move to extend the time of endorsement for the site plan administrative review, special permit for multi-family building, and stormwater permit for the proposed residential development at 70 Brickway in Scituate, Mass. Revised, dated January 27th, 2023, by McKenzie Engineering Group, consisting of at least 19 sheets until April 28th, 2023. I move to extend the time of recording of the site plan administrative review, special permit for a multifamily building and stormwater permit for the proposed residential development at 70 Brickway in Scituate, Mass. from 120 days after expiration of the appeal period through April 28th, 2023.
Ask if there's a second for discussion.
Is there a second for discussion?
Don't vote yet. Mr. Pollack,
Come on,
hurry up.
we are, come on. Wait a minute.
They had me at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I
We want you to get home safe and sound.
It was a tough ride down. Much worse up north than this
know,
is.
I know.
You got rain, you lucky people. How's everybody tonight?
We're here. And move the microphone so the people in the audience can hear you.
So I'll just give you a brief summary of where we are. The board has made a motion to extend the time of endorsement and to extend the time of recording to both April 28th, 2023.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so that date's gonna work, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so the board, we talked about the letter that came from Attorney Sullivan today, and the board is not willing to waive any of their conditions. What has to be done, and most of this stuff needs to be done during the design phase, so that you know how big your fire and water is going to be.
Yes, that's fine. I guess there was a misconception about, we weren't really looking for waivers. The issue with cleaning the sewer line and whatnot is coordinated with the construction, because it makes no sense to do it before we do the construction, because we're gonna get it messed up. So that was really the hammering of that. Unless the sewer department wants it done prior to. then
But they
do it.
want it done at the beginning of the construction, so that they know what's out there.
Okay,
And so the board is not willing to waive the additional screening that needs to be on the
no,
plans.
it's absolutely not. The cleaning of the pathways from the foundation that we requested that we put in, we'll put a plan in place to keep those clean in the event that we do have an incident.
Right, some of this stuff needs to be done prior to endorsement.
Right, so
Correct.
I guess my question for the board would be, how would you like me to do the camera before the endorsement? I mean, how,
Well, I'll go back and read the conditions, but the intention was never to have the camera in before endorsement, it's at the beginning of construction.
then it was
I-
a misunderstanding.
I'll go back and reread that. But, you know, the planting needs to be prior to endorsement.
The screening will be on.
And the revised architectural and site plans prior to endorsement. And the revised O and M prior to endorsement.
Yes.
Now you can do your vote, do your vote. Just wanted to make sure, I saw him walk in,
Oh, okay.
and that's
Well, we
why.
have a second.
Second is amended.
Second is amended. Is there
Was
a
it even
second?
amended?
No, it wasn't
No,
amended.
second.
And now you say all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That took all of 2 minutes, and now you have that schlep back home.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It's always nice to see you.
He can live inside of the drip pretty soon.
Yes, there you go.
So there you go.
Thank you very much.
And so, Mr. Pollock, I think we should talk to the treasurer collector's office too. You should talk to the treasurer collector's office, we're not gonna be able to do endorsement
No,
without
we'll make sure that's fine.
without the taxes being up to date,
Yes, I will do that. Thank you.
okay?
Nice to see you. there,
Nice to
gentlemen.
see
Thank
you. Moving right along, we have an extension of time for the recording of the permit signing in place of the common driveway for 111 and 115 Elm Street.
So what happened here is that I have had Attorney Stephen Gard give me a call and said his client didn't realize that he had to record this stuff in 90-day timeframe.
Really?
And so, you know, so I would recommend that you change the endorsement time and that you endorse the plan. So he can explain it
Mr.
himself.
Bowers, right here, we're way ahead of schedule, how are you tonight?
I came in a little early,
Thank
just
goodness.
wondering if that number 6:30 happened a little early.
Yeah, it did happen early.
No, you're right on time.
Perfect.
You can hop right up,
Oh, great, okay.
absolutely right on.
You take my jacket off, so I look nice.
Okay.
So I'm here tonight on 111, 115 Elm Street, asking for some help.
Microphone.
Mike,
He knows that.
for the record, Attorney Steve Gard representing the applicant and owner of 111, 115 Elm Street. I'm here tonight asking for the board's help. Apparently, as you may recall, the board issued a special permit for a common driveway, which was inadvertently, through no malice of Mr. Richardson, not recorded within the 90 days of the condition on the decision. It is, so we're asking the board to vote for an extension of the 90 days for, I think I said 10 days, Karen. If the board sees fit to do this, it'll be recorded online. Won't do.
Right, so I have put in the motion March 3rd, 2023 to make sure that it was a week after tonight's meeting so that
That's perfect.
in case some emergency came up, you had
Yeah.
a week to record.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and so The plans also need to be endorsed because the registry, because it has a title, signing block on it, the registry isn't going to take them without it being signed.
Do you want the motion?
I'd just like to have a good discussion. We have 3 of these tonight. To anybody who's coming before the planning board, please make sure you do your homework, please make sure you read the decision, please make sure everybody on the team knows what this goes to do. Maybe we need check boxes pretty soon. I have no idea if these get bigger and bigger, but we know this did, I appreciate you coming in.
There's no excuse, Patty. The decision was just missed when the decision was reviewed, I believe, by my client. So there's no excuse. 90 days is plenty of time to get these things recorded. It just slipped through the cracks.
No, I just do what everybody else who goes before.
Yes.
I do have the common driveway agreement, and I have everything else that I need from Mr. Guard that is also going to have to be recorded as well. So, you know, everything else checks out.
And in full disclosure, the common driveway agreement was not sent in on time, but Karen was kind enough to accept it after the 2-week period.
Okay.
Again, like I said, it's just people who are listening, there is a reason, sloppy homework, your teachers, we don't like that.
But so in the future, that should be rectified should the common driveway bylaw changes pass at town meeting, because you have to submit it with your application.
Yes.
Is under the new changes to the bylaw, because we had to change because we're having problems.
Yes.
It's actually, I was surprised to learn that it was allowed to be submitted after, because I think I submitted the one Neil gave with the application.
Right,
and
some
did it.
people do it
It
right.
was a little odd, the one that I did before, so, but anyway,
So,
good, probably good.
I move to endorse the common driveway site plan administrative review and stormwater permit plans for 115 Elm Street Lot 1 and 111 Elm Street Lot 2, revised dated August 22, 2022 by Morse Engineering Company, Inc., consisting of 2 sheets. I move to extend the time of recording of the common driveway site plan review and stormwater permit from 90 days after expiration of the appeal period, which was October 12, 2022, through March 3rd, 2023, as the applicant did not realize recording had to take place in a timely manner.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Do our best not to let that happen again. And that'll give me a chance, Karen, to get a vote. I probably should put the copy of the vote with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna we'll do this tomorrow or Monday morning, and then the bylaw will be signed, and everything will be ready on Monday,
That's perfect.
okay?
Yeah, that way when someone reads it on record,
Right,
they
exactly.
don't see this thing expired, but they see what's over that.
9395 Elm Street.
That's Mr. Cooney.
Right.
Mr. Gotch, don't you?
Mr. Guard is not there.
I wasn't asked to do that one.
So,
Too bad, I could have taken 2 birds with 1 stone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, good night.
Good night.
so the same thing happened on the other end of the, they did not record their stuff. They actually even went to the registry and tried to record, and they told they couldn't record. So, this was Attorney Hayes, who I have the common driveway agreement, and I have all the proper information now. So I would ask that you do the same thing.
I move to endorse the common driveway site plan administrative review and stormwater permit plans for 93 Elm Street Lot 6 and 95 Elm Street Lot 5, revised dated July 5, 2022 by Morse Engineering Company, Inc., consisting of 2 sheets. I move to extend the time of recording of the common driveway site plan review and stormwater permit from 90 days after expiration of the appeal period, which was September 1st, 2022, through March 3, 2023, as the applicant did not realize recording had to take place in a timely fashion.
All in favor?
Aye. Can we do the A and R without anybody here?
I can explain it very easily.
Go for it.
The A&R is, they went in to try to get maybe a building permit or something, I don't exactly know, but the lot width of lot 1 did not comply with zoning. So, they have to take a sliver of lot 2 to give to lot 1, so that it'll comply with zoning. I mean, we don't check every aspect of zoning on a Form A, that's not our responsibility. So it's just taking a sliver from one and giving a sliver to another. They gave me the deed for the whole property, but lot one has already been sold. I mean, so I was able to get the deed. I know lot one's been sold. So I would recommend you endorse it because, you know, it's really just taking a sliver from one, giving it to the other so that it'll comply with zoning. And you want your lots to comply with zoning.
Where is that? I can't build it.
What did you just say, Steve?
The way it is now, they can't really build up that lot.
But it's just the existing house doesn't meet the setback. The existing house, it's the existing house that's the problem. Yeah. Has to meet the setback.
You gotta be some.
It has to meet the 175-foot lot width. At the front of the house,
Oh, I
that's,
see.
yeah. So it's a ministerial thing, you know, have to be re-recorded.
All right. Steve, are you all set?
Yeah.
I move to endorse this approval under the subdivision control law, not required, a plan of land at 334 Chief Justice Cushing Highway in Scituate, Plymouth County, Mass. 02066, prepared by PMP Associates for applicant owner 334 Chief Justice Highway, LLC, dated February 10, 2023, as each lot shown on the plan has frontage of at least the distance presently required under the Scituate zoning bylaw on the public way of Chief Justice Cushing Highway.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so exactly, 55 minutes ahead of schedule.
Oh, I mean, you
It
know,
is
we
what it
didn't
is.
know until,
We
I
just
mean,
worried,
until
so
we
that's
get the
good.
peer review back, we should have, I mean, we should.
That's fine,
Don't worry about it,
don't worry about it,
it's fine,
so,
we're done.
all business, no business,
Business.
correspondence.
Approved minutes. Okay, here we go. I move to approve the meeting minutes for February 9, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have money. I move to approve the requisition of $252.20 to Gatehouse Media for legal ads for 18 Hatchet. That should be T. All right. Hatchet Rock Road and 4 Merritt Lane for $2,100 to Merrill Corporation for peer review of 31 Allen Place for $1,824 to Horsley Witten for peer review services at Seaside and Scituate.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have the liaison reports.
Nothing's going on.
I went to the school building meeting last week. The first meeting, when there was no conversation about rebuilding Cushing, everybody's going out. Seems like a lot of kids, but I don't know how many children are in the school. The building can accommodate 465 students. A little wet over there, they're a little concerned about that, it's pretty wet.
You just lost me there. What do you say, they're moving everybody from Cushing?
Yep,
Take
Cushing,
Cushing
they're
down.
gonna take Cushing down, this is, they wanna be a goals, they wanna take Cushing down and they wanna expand Hathaway. You can't believe the horrible states of these schools, it's awful.
Awful.
They're 59 and 61 years old, and even apparently Hathaway's in worse shape than Cushing. But they're gonna, the property is available at Hathaway, so the kids can stay in school while they go to the building, other than having to take them out of here. Circa 50 years ago, we had kindergartners who were in high school, they had no place to go, my husband went to double sessions or
Yeah,
something,
double
crazy like
sessions.
that. So, And it's, an enormous amount of money, but if you go on the Scituate Public School site, there is a community button that you can push, it's very, very transparent about what they wanna do. Schooling is way different than when I went to school, that's for sure. And where the children are now, I'm sure it's full of asbestos, right? They're over 15 years old, right? Pre
I don't
1980.
know, that they remediated.
Some of it, but not all of it, doors don't close, it's, you think that our little ones are doing awful things anyway on a daily basis in school, that we have to protect them. And we should be a safe school building. So, that's the only thing, and there is a meeting next Tuesday about Pier 44.
At the library, 1 in the morning and 1
in
in the evening,
No, not 1 in the morning,
Yes, 1 and 11.
11
11.
and 7.
Yeah.
She didn't even want to talk anymore.
She didn't mean 1 o'clock in the morning? Oh.
Yeah.
So,
It's all right, Karen.
it was interesting because when they sent out the notice, to take the survey was closed, so
It's reopened.
it's reopened just as it sent out. And I did take the survey, it's very pie in the sky, for me personally. I don't think we're supposed to go to that.
It's a public meeting, go if you want.
If the public meeting, you can go if you want.
The selectmen are not meeting that Tuesday, they're meeting Monday night instead. Which is,
Have you, did you look at the
Interesting.
survey?
I did,
It's very brilliant, it looks like the Rose Henry Greenway. Oh, it's very,
and it floods.
it will.
this is Pier 44.
It's very grandiose, and it's very nice, but,
Does it
we
take
have,
into account any of the long-term plan requirements? Any idea?
not on the top of my head.
Which, I mean,
Like climate change is like
Yeah,
number one in the long-term plan, right?
it would account for being flooded. The design accounts for flooding.
Do boating from there?
Good question.
No,
I don't know.
you can't do boating from there. They do wanna have a pier. So if you're really interested, I would really go in and take the survey.
Because one of the interesting, points that were made to us when we first saw this is they wanted to take out the bulkhead in the harbor, but we were like crazy, we can't do that. So, it's a beautiful site, it's a beautiful rendition, but we have to pay for school, we have to pay for a water treatment plant, we have to pay for central fields, right, that's a majority of
CDC paid for that.
but still, that's my tax money we're still paying for it, yeah.
But a lot has come from the state too.
The central school? No, oh, no, yeah, for the other stuff, but we're still paying for that, so these are lots of stuff happening.
What's coming from the state?
With CPC, that there were up to, I think it's 35% matching funds into the town.
CPC is matching what the town puts in.
Up to,
35%.
and now it's around 35%, used to be 100%.
Right. So it's without town tax dollars,
That's
There's no
what I
state
think,
money.
still not tax, it's still not
it
tax.
requires town tax money.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I didn't say it didn't.
But it's a lot, and that's a philosophical discussion about what the CPC should do, so. You didn't go to anything, no traffic or nothing?
I went to
You're very busy.
I know, I went to traffic rules and I suggested to them that they were talking about 33 and 61 Driftway. That if the fire department had issues, and they did, but that was Bill Sestito had issues. It was in the report that went to you, and I told them if there are issues that you are really concerned about, it's up to the fire department on letterhead to say that this is an issue.
About parking, so.
About parking, about turnaround, about all of that stuff.
And they are only in budget.
That's all they are. And then one of the new members wants to get into the traffic study that we're proposing to do. And I said the scope is still being processed, and it's the planning board. That's it, it's planning board. So it got a little, I left because it's,
So, the planning and development report?
We're busy,
oh, that goes without saying,
we're busy.
busy,
This
busy,
way
busy.
we will continue to be busy, we received another project today, 55 unit, development in, the North Scituate Outer Village. 4 multifamily buildings, one of them's existing, so, yeah. It's a big project, this one.
Did you read the quote today about Brookline and the MBTA?
I didn't get a globe today.
But then one must have came to my house instead, because I very often
You have to pay for those things.
I do.
CPC does not pay for
I
that.
don't know, I think, and it didn't come, maybe she got in the traffic jam or something.
It's interesting because, you know, as we have said over and over, the MBTA community has, they have to address this, and we don't bring things like Brookline, saying, we don't want this. Things like Walt here, you know, we really need to start.
Actually,
But these are like already well-established communities like Brookline, they want to change what Harvard Street looks like. So it's really,
Yeah, the article did not say they weren't gonna do it,
No.
or they were gonna oppose it, they said there were different opinions on it.
and the problem is it goes to town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the town, it's 175 town meeting members that they have to convince that this is good or bad. But it did make a big comment about mixed-use developments, that they do not include mixed-use
which
developments.
they should.
And Brookline has said that really that's one of the issues that they were talking about. But I mean, that was front and center as well today, so I mean,
I did send an email to our congressional representatives, and I have not heard back, so if I don't hear back next week, I will send again so that we can try to get, so I can try to get a meeting. And, as you requested, to try to discuss some of our issues with this legislation.
What's the feedback from other towns in the same district? Like, Cohasset,
I am not
Marshfield.
talked to Cohasset, I did talk to Kingston, and they were gonna try to get a waiver. But they did send in an action plan,
Mhm.
that, like us, they sent something in so that they could, be compliant, but, they've talked to their representatives and, doesn't go very far. But this is what you asked that we do, so we're gonna try that route. I mean, I think as you start seeing more articles in the paper saying, mixed use is, they're not counting it, that, maybe somebody's gonna do some thinking about it.
Well, I think if you don't ask, then
Right,
nothing's
so,
gonna happen.
Yeah.
If enough of a group of cities and towns ask, then it has the potential to actually translate into, an improvement to the legislation.
so we
And I'm
are,
not suggesting that they need to throw the legislation.
no,
out.
I'm right,
I'm
some
suggesting they
tweaks,
just
some tweaks.
adjust it.
And so we are working on it, and I will keep letting you know.
I don't read any articles that are totally 100% favor, we only get the ones that have a little question.
Yeah, it's definitely,
It's fine.
it's definitely much more targeted to those communities that have transit locations, right?
Yeah.
But that was the whole nature of the sort of policy analysis, right?
I mean, and most people, I've talked to some other people, and everyone realizes that this is greatly depending, most communities have to do some type of zoning change. And that is up to town meeting to pass, and what happens if town meetings don't pass these? So
That's what we don't have.
this is a big discussion.
Well, I think it's all the more reason that we should use legislators too, because they don't want it thrown out, but if there's a way to improve it.
Right, so we're
You're
working
better
on
off doing that than just having everybody sort of opt out.
it, we're working on it.
And then back, 10 years ago, the state was really big on having housing around the transit stations. Canton did a lot of building, apartments and what have you. And one of the reasons we went forward with down on the Driftway, Drew, thank you. The Drew property was, and then it was also mixed use with apartments. And you know, there's 72 or 78 of them, and theoretically that doesn't count.
So I think that's the pushback for a lot of people.
Right, and the other thing is, they talk about affordability. We need to bring in, these people gonna have to, they rent or whatever. And in order to rent, down at that 40B on Route 3A, you have to have an income of $85,000 to qualify for a one bedroom. It's $2,000 a month. That is not affordable.
Well, we're in the Boston area, what can I say?
I know, then something has to change.
Well, then again, I think if we engage our congressional people, we might be able to have a nice philosophical discussion about something.
I mean, perhaps you want to start asking some of these projects that come in. I mean, right now, the standard is 80%, 80%. Maybe you want to have it a different percent to incorporate actual affordable units and see if the on your special permits, see if they'll do that. That's a thought,
But the unfortunate part with having these affordable units, the paperwork to do it is onerous.
That's part of the game though. That's part
I
of the game.
understand it, but
That's how, right.
Pay to play, it's one of those things that you have to do, but that's a good idea, Karen.
I mean, I've got to say, I think it's a great thing right now that for the affordable units, 50 Country Way, the Drew Company, and 14 to 16 Old Country Way, they're all using the same monitoring agent. So, this Metro West Collaborative is at least familiar with Scituate now. And so they're familiar with what they need in the whole process, but there are a local action unit person. And I think that's a great thing.
Because where I live, all 10 of them are different. It's almost impossible for them to find that, so I don't think it's.
But there should be one monitoring agent for the project.
Well, 15 years ago, there was.
Right, yeah. So,
I still say that there's gonna be no affordable units unless we can address infrastructure.
Yes, well, any kind of units anywhere. Affordable or not.
70% of zero is still zero.
agree.
okay.
Anybody else second?
I make motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are.
No,